Hi, everyone. I am Cindy Barron, and I am the guest host for Eric this week that is traveling, and I believe on a very memorable trip for the arts. So I am your guest host today, and today my guest is Patricia Watwood. And you're gonna love her. First of all, I love this because I'm a drawer. But she is classically a painter with a contemporary point of view. She is a leading figure in the contemporary figurative movement. So I think you're going to enjoy this one. So we welcome Patricia.
Hi, Cindy. Can you
Hi.
hear me? Is that
I can
working?
hear you.
It's
I
great
can
to
hear
see you.
you.
Thanks so much for doing this. I'm
We
really
all
happy to
can hear
be here.
you.
Yeah.
So this is
Hi.
going to be exciting. Tell me what you're going to show us today.
I'm going to do a drawing lesson, and I'm going to do a special project for this special day. And I'm going to talk about how I use drawing as a way to cultivate focus and mindfulness. I'm sharing themes from my book, The Path of Drawing. So I'm also going to be talking about the path of drawing and this lesson for the upcoming Realism Live. And I have been talking a lot with people about how we nurture our creative practice, how we use focus and intention and build consistency in our habits to really sustain our creativity for the long haul in terms of staying engaged, and then also cultivate our individuality. All kinds of emotional wellness concepts that I feel like I needed to teach myself after I learned all the techniques of drawing and painting in art school. So I'm going to do a drawing lesson teaching you some basic drawing techniques, but then I'm also going to be talking about how I use these in my own practice to kind of keep me healthy and on track with my creative work.
You know, that is so important. I'm so glad you said that because it's essential for everybody, no matter what stage you are in your art career and painting, drawing, whatever. It's so important. So I really look forward to this.
Yeah, and in fact, I think that maybe when I was a younger artist, I thought that um, eventually I would kind of get past certain hurdles of maybe having a hard time focusing, getting started on a project, procrastinating, all of those feelings. But actually, what I learned after even like 20 years of working as a professional practicing artist, that I still had to deal with those. And it was really helpful for me to learn that that's really common, that that's actually like everyone I know, all the professional artists I know, they also, if you get them in a conversation, they'll talk about how it can be really hard to focus. It can be hard to get started with work. So it was helpful to me to learn that. And then I've kind of learned a lot of things that help me. And that's what I want to share with you.
Great. I'm excited. As I told you, I love to draw, so this is right up my alley.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this, and I'm so glad you're the one telling us all about it.
Yeah. Thanks.
So I think we should get started.
Okay.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rose. Now, here's your host, Eric Rose.
Hi again. Obviously, I'm not Eric, but I'm enjoying hosting this. And so, once again, I'm going to welcome my guest, Patricia Watwood. And she's also in Realism Live. So, you're getting a lot here. So, let's get started, Patricia.
All right. So, in my lesson today, I'm going to do two different parts. First of all, I'm just going to share some concepts with you. And then after the first section, we'll do a drawing demo. But I want to talk to you first about concepts of focus. This is essential for all artists to be able to cultivate and even create on demand focus. And I think when we're young, it's really easy to get lost in a drawing project, to lose track of time. And I think all of us visual artists are familiar with that state and really want to be able to do that. But I don't know about you, but I find it harder and harder. I think that the internet age is amazing because of the way it gives us access to information we never were able to get to before, and it creates community amongst people who have like a passion, like realism or figurative art or portrait. There's many of us all over the world, but it's great to have an international or a national community and to be able to connect online. So that has been amazing, the way that has contributed to the work that we do. The downside is that the internet and Instagram and the way that we work with email, it's like constantly like dinging at us. We get a message, we get a notification. And I learned that it actually is a way in which companies are commodifying our attention. They're trying to get you to pay attention to what they want you to pay attention to, and then maybe sell you a product or inform you about, send you a message that they want you to know, as opposed to me being free to like make my own choices about what I pay attention to. So advertisers, companies like literally are like spending money trying to get your attention. So this is something that's part of our new world that we all have to learn how to deal with. And so I've really come to think of my ability to selectively focus as an artist is like this superpower that I need to be able to tap into, and I need to be able to get in and out of more or less at will. Now, I say at will, but actually, I find that what you have to do is a little bit develop an intention. My intention is to have my studio practice. And one of the best ways to kind of give support to your habit of intention is actually to plan out and think ahead about when are you going to do it? How much time are you able to spend on it? Is it half an hour? Is it an hour? Is it 3 hours? Is it, all day Tuesday, I'm going to work in the studio. The more we ahead of time plan out that and think it through, how much time can I and do I intend to put into it? And then even maybe write it down and put it on your calendar. We all have, complicated lives and plans change, things get interrupted. But if you don't sort of make a little pact with yourself, this is the time that I'm going to dedicate to this practice, it can really slip away and be hard to prioritize. So that's one thing, is just advanced planning. Another thing that
very important. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're talking about this. Go ahead.
And please, Cindy, I'm really happy to have your questions, and so jump in. Another thing, thinking about supporting my intention to have this creative practice, is even just like doing a little bit of prep the night before, or like setting out my equipment the night before. If the first thing you have to do, if you mean to like get up and do drawing, is kind of find your pencil box, you might like accidentally find some laundry to fold or get distracted along the way. So sometimes I just like to, if like, okay, I'm going to work on this project in the morning. Before I go to bed, I'm just going to take 5 minutes and kind of clear off my little desk, put my pencils and my materials out, or maybe even like sometimes there's like, you need to find a reference or print a reference. It's just one little hurdle. Can I spend 5 minutes taking care of that little task the day before, so that the next day, like, as they say, my work is cut out for me? So that's another thing that has really helped me. And then the third thing that I want you to think about is being really intentional about what is your environment that's either supporting or distracting you from the work you want to do. There's a couple things I've learned. I really have to turn off my phone, silence my ringer, and even put it on do not disturb. Sometimes we have kids or even aging parents who need care. I think there's ways you can make a setting that just that one person can get through to you if you need to. But if at all possible, like, I really try to let my kids understand that this it is my job, right? This is really important to me, my creative time. And that they need to kind of help respect my boundaries, not bother me if it's not really important. And so that's even just a way of prioritizing for my own self that my creative work is important to me. And it's okay for me to kind of express a boundary like, listen, I need this time and I need you to not bother me. So do not disturb on your phone, even like dismissing all of your notifications or turning off your apps so that they're not dinging at you. If you've ever tried to do like a digital sort of detox where you sort of turn off your social media apps and your phone, it's amazing how often you sort of unintentionally kind of just pick up your phone and check your message, and you do it almost automatically without thinking. So I've tried to teach myself to be very conscious of that little habit and turn my phone off, or even like on my computer, there's a do not disturb function. That's really helpful. Another is I will set a timer. So especially if I don't really want to work and I'm kind of like, okay, this is my time to work, but I'm feeling like having a hard time focusing, I will just set a timer for 20 minutes or 30 minutes and then sort of like almost I have this expression of like gluing my feet to the studio floor. Like, you are not really allowed to move, or you're not really allowed to like step away from the easel for like 20 minutes. And at first, 20 minutes seems like a really long time. But if you actually get started, it's not really very long. And it's almost, you're like, okay, I can just do this for 20 minutes and kind of allow yourself that boundary. So I often will set a timer. And then the last thing that I do to try to kind of cultivate this time of focus is be really thoughtful about what I'm listening to.
Yes.
Um, sometimes like I sometimes in a project, if I'm in the middle of things, I like to listen to a radio or a podcast, and there's like it's like having a coworker kind of chatter in the background. But other times I really need it to be like nonverbal and quiet. So maybe peaceful classical music, sometimes even just like nature sounds, like audio sounds where there's like those you can listen to like apps or find it on Spotify, like bird song or like waves, so that it's a little input to my mind that's kind of calming, but it's not actually drawing my attention. There's a this type of music kind called binaural beats. Binaural, so like two ears. It's spelled Binaural, binaural, so two sounds. And it's designed to actually have kind of calming sound waves that like um, you you listen to on headphones, and it's slightly different frequencies. And actually, I've gotten really attached to this because if I put that on, I can actually feel my blood pressure just kind of like calm down. And it's like I almost have like a Pavlovian response, like, oh, okay, I can like focus now. So I'm really strongly encourage you to try those things, especially like turning off all of your ringers, putting your phone in a locked drawer, and then try some sounds that really support focus instead of distracting you.
All right,
Um,
Patricia, I have to tell
yeah,
you, everything you just said is so beneficial to everybody out there. I personally need it. And you know what? Just you sitting there right now and you saying this, I want everybody to go back and re-listen to this. I mean, that was just a great session on how you instill discipline and everything in your life with your painting. This is what you just said is so invaluable for everybody. So yeah,
yeah,
it's or valuable to everybody.
yeah.
It's I want everybody to re-listen to that. I'm going to re-listen to it.
And
It,
I still
it's
do this all the time. Like I don't I still have to remind myself, "Oh, like Patty, like you're all like you know that feeling. You're all like, you're like your nerves are jangly and your mind is like spinning and you're like, "Oh, I forgot to call my mom and I have to call the plumber about the broken pipe." And like
yes.
your mind just is constantly like slipping like, "Oh, you got to do this thing." So we have to cultivate this superpower of like, no, I am dropping all that right now. I am going to practice, and I'm going to use my practice as a way to further kind of like calm myself, engage with my creative mind, give myself time and space to think about the creative work I want to do. I think that even just getting to that point is almost as important as the actual like skills of are you what kind of brush you're using or what is your hatching like. No, like the cultivating of the skill, and for all of us at every level, that we have to do it, and we need the structure around it. It doesn't just get easier, and I don't just automatically do it just because I've been painting for 20 years.
But you're right. Staying focused, with artists, I think in particular, procrastination is like our middle name, because we have so many things to do and maybe all we want to do is be at the easel and then life just overtakes us. And the next thing we know, we didn't spend that time at the easel. And yes, this is your job. It's my job. It's your job. It's when you're a professional artist and you have bills to make, you have to keep in mind all these things you just said. And it
Yeah.
is so important. And I am enjoying this. Like I said, I'm going to re-listen. I encourage everybody to re-listen to this. I know this plays for a while, but your introduction to all this is important. It's about focus. And you're right. We can get distracted with everyday life and the social media and keeping up on emails and all this. But if you spend one part of the day to just doing your the box you don't want to do with all that stuff in there, and then spend the majority of the day focusing on what you're supposed to be focusing on, it will help. And you gave everybody great tools to think
Yeah.
about in doing
Another
that.
thing that I came to learn, and one of the reasons I sort of wrote this book and really have started talking about and teaching this material, is that I really came to understand that there was another level, related to my own like procrastination, or the ways in which I was finding it hard to maybe keep my practice really steady, which is that also there's like anxiety in there.
Hmm.
There's art is, on one hand, we like to think of it as like free and exploration and playful, but actually it often really means a lot to us, and we really want to make something beautiful, or we want to do make something nice, or also we just don't want to make a mistake. And so all of that can kind of create a feeling of anxiety, that even though on one part of your brain you're like, I want to go draw, another part of your brain, it's like, well, it's scary. And so, what can I do
Hmm.
to maybe avoid that confrontation with the easel for just a little while longer? So, bringing mindfulness to all of this, it's like it's taught me that I can just recognize, oh, I am procrastinating. And it's actually because I'm kind of scared to finish that painting because it's a little hard right now.
Yes.
And just if I'm just aware, then I can even just say it to myself. And then I'm like, okay, all right. So hello, fear and anxiety. Okay, now what do I do next? What's the next step?
Right. And you know what? With young artists out there that have young kids, I mean, I was there. I raised professional athletes. It took a whole lot of my everyday time. And then
Mhm.
I used to paint during the night. So for me, back then, I would make coffee and put on an old movie and paint well into like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And that's a practice I still do now. Mind you, my kids are grown, but it's a practice I still do because I love painting at nighttime. There's
Yeah.
something romantic about it. So, and I love old movies. So it keeps me really focused. And they're movies I probably have seen a dozen times, but it keeps me at my easel late at
Right,
night.
that's a
Like
ritual,
there.
right? And
Yes.
having that
Yes.
ritual, like the setting is the way you want it to be, and even just like you've seen the movie before, and all of that is programming that's just telling your brain, okay, Cindy, it is time to do that thing we love to do and paint, right? The more
Right.
we can kind of create little rituals of beginning and structure that just help us just step into that flow, it's really supportive.
It is. And just, once again, for young artists out there that are raising a family, they have a young family, it is very difficult. And,
Mhm.
keep in mind what Patricia has just said. And your time does come, your chance does come. It's just, carving out that day, keeping your creative mind, like what you just said, Patricia. It's a practice. And
Right.
so It's hard when you have young kids. I do know that, but it comes,
Yeah.
it still comes.
That's exactly right. I've raised 2 kids myself, and so was always juggling and, having trying to keep my professional work going, but then also my, care for my family and my love for my family. Another thing that I talk about in this book, and I think is an important message, is to understand that, you might not be in a place right now where you can devote 3 or 4 hours or at a stretch or even a whole day, right? That might not be available to you. But, my book is designed to be, and the lesson I'm gonna do today is designed to be a project that might take 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, and I promise you, if you make yourself a commitment to just stay engaged with your creative practice, 30 to 45 minutes a few times a week, not just once a week, like 2 or 3 times a week, even if it's just 30 to 45 minutes, or if you do it every day for 20 minutes, that is enough to keep you growing, keep
Yes,
you having a feeling of being engaged. And it's much better than sort of not doing it all for a long time and then trying to, okay, I'm just going to do this all for like one day and then dropping out. It's like learning a language. If I only work on my French like for a couple hours once a month, I'm never going to get any better. But if I
right,
work
right.
on that language, just for 15, 20 minutes every day consistently, it becomes a part of your life. So I think that's another really principle for
It is.
starting a creative habit.
It is. So, before we get started, I just want to
Mhm.
say one more thing. You got to carve out that little niche in your little home for your studio. I mean, I've been in closets, big closets. I've been in the basement, wherever we moved. I carved out a little niche so I don't have to go and set up something
That's right.
constantly, and that
Yeah.
takes that does something too. And so, just carve out that little niche.
That's
But
such an important principle, Cindy. So those were the concepts I wanted to share. I will be ready to do my demo whenever you tell me it's time to start.
I think it's time to start.
Okay. Are you gonna do that little, do you have something else you have to do? I
I
don't
can We
remember.
can
Or
talk
you would do
about,
it later?
well, you know what? I'm going to talk about it several times, but let's talk about uh, thanks for reminding me.
Okay.
First, I want to tell you about today's prize. It's a pair
Okay.
of value specs. And to get a chance to win the prize, tell us in the comments where you are watching from. And then that helps you win a pair of value specs. The last show's winner is Rosemary Flynn from Boston, Massachusetts. Yay, back in my area. You won a 1-year subscription to Fine Art Connoisseur magazine. I love that magazine. So send your email to asl@streamlinepublishing.com to claim your prize. So, congratulations. And so, take it away, Patricia. It's your turn.
Put on my other camera for my demo. So I am going to do a drawing of a bat. I love to do birds and flying creatures, but it's kind of a special holiday here in the United States, and I thought doing a bat sort of on the moon would be a really fun project for today. So I am actually I'm going to be working on drawing. I'm using Cretacolor Nero pencils. You can do this project very easily with graphite, any kind of graphite, especially like I love these Palomino Blackwing. They're very dark and rich. So nice dark pencil. I'm using these carbon pencils because they're going to be a little bit blacker and they also show up a little bit better on camera, which is helpful for you guys following me. I'm also going to be using a little bit of vine charcoal, just some little sticks of vine charcoal. I'll be using a couple paint brushes that I'm just going to use to kind of smear the tone, and a kneaded eraser. So it's really simple tools. You can also just do this with white paper or a cream paper. You could do a store-bought yellow paper. I am working on an Fabriano Artistico hot press watercolor paper that I just toned with a simple wash. using a wide wash brush, using a little bit of, this is called Windsor yellow or like a Hansa yellow, and a little bit of burnt sienna. So it has just a little bit of variegation between a little bit more saturated yellow and a little bit warm. I started also by just tracing a circle with a plastic lid, and I made a larger circle with a paper plate just to make this circle design, which is where I'm going to place my bat in the middle of the circle to kind of create a bat lit against the moonlight.
All right, awesome tool, awesome technique.
So now let's get started with the drawing. When I draw, the first thing I want to do is create an armature, a block in for my drawing. So it's almost like I make a first drawing and then I make a finished drawing. My first drawing, the armature, is going to be concerned with the placement, the size and placement. So in this case, I'm thinking about, okay, I want this tip, I want the wing to stop there and stop here. So that establishes the boundary of the size in one direction. And now what about this direction? I'm going to look for a long axis line that goes across the wing, and notice how it's at an angle. I can even just like compare to my reference and like look and see what that angle is. All of these first lines are very light. I hope you can see them on screen, but I don't want to make them any darker because I might have to erase all of them. When you're first,
You can see them, so you're in good shape.
perfect. When you're first starting to draw, I make a lot of preliminary marks, but I want to be able to change them. I don't want to feel locked in to something that I'm not sure about. This is actually kind of a principle of mindfulness in drawing, which is that I want to bring an attitude of relaxation and openness to my work as I begin, especially. The more, for example, like if I'm starting to get frustrated, I'm just going to make it over here. And I make a line and then oh no, that's not right. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. And then, oh no, I got to like charge, and you get a little more frustrated. You get your line darker and darker. That's actually just going to fix your mistakes in place. And so my first principle as far as mindfulness is just kind of an open state of relaxation, and knowing that the process is going to be a process of discovery and a process of making mistakes and then fixing mistakes, and being very like relaxed and open about that. So you can see how many different little marks I've made as I'm trying to figure out the basic placement. I'm thinking about this wing over here, the body here, noticing the angle of the body here, and then this wing here. So that's enough in terms of the outer edges of the wing, where the feet are going to go, and roughly where that little nose, the head of the bat, is going to go.
So those two circles you made earlier are very
Mhm.
beneficial for this.
They
So
really help give a placement. Also, drawing has a tendency to sort of accidentally grow
yes,
or sometimes
yes,
shrink. And so having those circles, and this is kind of like the main one, and this is sort of like my extra one, that like margin of error, and it kind of gives me a little bit of room to make a mistake and then correct, but still have some boundaries. All right,
very.
so I figured out that placement. Now I need to kind of work a little more on this block end. These wings are really interesting because they automatically, you see how they have like this vertical here?
Mhm.
Also, I want to look at that angle. Kind of, it's like parallels the angle of the body. Then I have like this long section here. And I'm not, you see those cool scoops? Those are really cool, but they're actually going to be one of the last things I want to look at. I actually want to just go from point to point. So like this spine going up and down that little part of the wing from here to here, then where's this point relative to this point? And you can even like check the angle again. I use angles and triangulation and negative space over and over again. So instead of trying to look at that contour, first I'm making like an armature of where I'm going to put everything else. Now let's put the other little wing over here. And again, thinking about the whole wing and a triangle that goes from like here to here, that spine of the wing going up. And notice how I'm using kind of long, straight lines, not trying to create a lot of detail that's like specific curves. I'm using long, straightish lines. Those are called block-in lines. And wherever I'm making a little correction, at this stage, I'm just kind of putting it on top. I will get out my eraser and start to remove them when I have more information, but it's perfectly fine to just leave all of those marks as kind of a record. I feel like it creates a bit of a margin of error. It shows my thought process. And so notice how, as I set up thinking about where that bat head, I didn't kind of make an eye or a nose or an ear. I'm just thinking about like this little triangle, this like little two-dimensional shape of that bat head to create this armature. So there's now a little bit more of an armature for where that wing is going to go, where this wing is going to go. And now I can start to get a little bit more specific. Go back out here. Here you notice there's sort of two portions to this wing. This distance and this distance are really close together. And then this one is farther away. Again, kind of, I will refine those lines a little bit, but I'm going to block them in lightly. I'm still using my sort of loose block-in lines instead of trying to make a refined contour. I really like to save my contour line for much later in the process. The refined sort of finish line is actually one of the last things I put in there.
How you are doing this is this is so important because drawing is so important. But I like what you're doing here.
Drawing is for me, I am an artist because I love to draw and because I love learning to draw and I love the practice of drawing. And then I just wanted to be able to keep like drawing. So then I saw that all of those people like became artists. All of my favorite artists are marvelous draftsmen. Like Edgar Degas has a beautiful show in New York right now. He's such a wonderful draftsman. I love Rubens' drawings, contemporary artists like Stephen Assail, Bo Bartlett, all of the people I just admire so much are wonderful, wonderful at drawing. So when I was learning to become an artist, that was really clear to me that that was going to be really important. So I'm thinking about where is that arm, and you see how I just put in a line for the whole arm rather than trying to draw the inside or the outside.
Right.
I'm still just making a placement for everything first. How am I doing on time? How long have I been working on this thing?
I think you're doing good. How about a few more minutes, and then I'm going to say a couple other things. But
Okay.
you're doing great. I love what how you are explaining to the viewers how to do this. And your book has, to be honest, I'm buying your book. I'm going out there telling you this right now.
Yeah, my book has like lesson plans and I'm definitely doing a lot of the same type of teaching instruction that's in that book.
Yes, because, I think artists, no matter, if you're abstract art or whatever, there's still, all these elements are still you practice in whatever type of art you were doing.
That's right. So here I'm just making a couple corrections to a few things, and then what I'll do is start working on the next portion of this. So
All right, so
yes, go ahead.
Say one thing, because you can't emphasize this more. It's important to have the right eraser, because you just can't use any eraser on a watercolor paper. So I see you have that nice kneaded.
That's right. This is a Prismacolor, but almost any kind of kneaded eraser. And it's soft, it doesn't damage the paper. And the way that I've learned to draw, I erase as much as I draw. My eraser is an absolutely essential tool. I don't just do it right the first time. I change it a million times, and I have to erase. So having a good eraser that doesn't damage your paper is really important.
Right, because if you use the back end of your pencil or whatever, any other type of eraser, you're ruining the paper. So that eraser is so important.
That's right. Okay, so now I've kind of finished the block-in stage. I'm ready to move to kind of the next portion of my demo, which is sort of shading, and then I'll refine the drawing. Is there something else you wanted to share with our audience?
Let's get back. I also want to say we have a gift for you today. Download our free ebook, 97artsecrets.com, free. And everyone, don't forget to subscribe to this channel at Art School Live on YouTube and Eric Rhodes on Instagram. Also, you can see more Patricia's work at patriciawatwoodstudios.com. So other than that, I'd like to plug Realism Live, because
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, Patricia is part of Realism Live. So, and myself too, and 20 other amazing artists. So it's something that you can do from home like we were talking earlier in the first segment of this. Say you can't travel, or you can't get there, or the expenses aren't there. This is something you can do at home. And it's available to everybody. So look up realismlive.com, and you won't be disappointed. And also get 10% off with code BARON.
Welcome to Realism Live.
Welcome to Realism Live.
Welcome to Realism Live.
This is my lesson for Realism Live.
Welcome to today's lesson.
Welcome to my class.
I hope you enjoy this demo. Let's get started.
You have an opportunity to go to an art conference online, and this is it. For the next 3 days, we're here to make you better and to inspire you. You're going to experience massive growth this week. This is the best possible opportunity to really push yourself to the next level. You can do this.
I absolutely loved it.
More than met any expectations.
I keep finding myself going, this is truly amazing.
I learn something new every time. It's therapy.
Just when you think it can't get any better, it really does. It just keeps getting better.
This experience has been a game changer, not only for your art, but for one's life.
People who can't travel or afford to travel or go to workshops out there are able to learn from all these different artists right from our own studios and homes.
What you're going to get over the next few days will blow your mind, but it's also going to take you further than you ever thought.
There's landscape painting, there's portraits, there's still life. Like, I'm getting a little bit of everything, and I am very excited about that.
You guys are giving me more tools to put in my toolbox.
I appreciate certain things on a whole new level.
I get all these great artists teaching me all these new things, but I get to sleep in my own bed tonight.
So many fantastic artists, master artists who are sharing all their expertise.
The artists, what they bring is just shocking. It's the whole day just flew through, and it's so fast because it's so much to take in.
You have the best of the best out there. So many of these people you can't even get to. You cannot get to them.
They all have so much to offer and everything's so different. Everybody today has been amazing, all in their own different ways. I learned so much.
Every single artist I have an aha moment from. I learned something from everybody today, and I've been painting for 36 years.
I just loved it. I've never done this before. It's so new to me. It's been class.
And new friends too. There's people here that I have become very good friends with.
To meet other people in this, so total immersion is definitely the way to go.
Really incredible to see people, connect with them.
Go to every breakout room, talk to everybody, try every single thing. Even if you think you can't do it, put that aside.
It just has been a real lifesaver through this whole time. I have just incredibly appreciated all you've done.
Hi, I'm back. All right, so Realism Live, I have participated in it. I have done it. We always learn. I mean, this is the best thing you could do for yourself and for your career. And just like today, I've learned so much from Patricia, especially in our opening comments. So both she and I are in it, and you won't be disappointed. So let's get back to Patricia, and she's going to show us more on her sketching. And this has been so much fun, Patricia, and you have about 10 minutes left.
That's perfect.
Perfect?
Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to Realism Live. I love being able to connect with this community of course, the artists are just fantastic, but a lot of people who connect know each other. It's a really friendly community. You can get to know other people we're all crazy in the same way, loving painting and drawing more than anything else. So it's really a gift to be able to have those connections.
It
So
is. It's your own support system. It's your support system, so it's great.
That's right. We need people who really understand us. Okay, so while that was playing, I was just toning my paper. You didn't miss anything. All I was doing was like this, back and forth, quickly. And there's no right way or wrong way to do this, just filling it in.
I love the sound of sketching.
Right, me too. This is called veiling. So there's different techniques in drawing. There's hatching or there's cross hatching. I'll show you a tiny bit more of that too. But veiling is just kind of making an even tone. So you lay the tone on. I am using now, I started my drawing with like a hard pencil so I could be light and a little bit more specific. And now I switched to a soft pencil. So if you're doing this in graphite, maybe start your drawing with an HB and then switch to like a 2B or a 3B to tone it in. There's another thing I like to do, and notice how I went straight from my block in to massing in this tone. I didn't actually finish my drawing anymore. I'm going to do that in the next stage. I find that I see things well when I like mass in the value, and then it helps me see what I'm doing. The next thing you can do to make an even tone is take a brush and just blend the graphite. Blend in this case, it's the carbon. So it's like a charcoal. And it smooths it out, laying that flat. And that also kind of speeds things up. If you want to get it darker and darker, you can use the brush, then go back to the soft pencil. And here, like the body of the bat, I kind of want to darken that area down a little bit. So I'm just layering it up. Sometimes you have to layer up your graphite or your whatever material you're drawing with, Conti, charcoal. They're all very, all these techniques work with any of these drawing materials. So you lay it in one pass and then start again. Kind of use my brush to darken it in. Now that I've kind of laid in all of that, I am ready to finally switch to more doing the contours. So I do like to do those later in my drawing process instead of first, because now basically I've made myself a map that I can follow. And
Right.
now I can just kind of go from point to point. With the, see, like from this point to this point, kind of looking at my reference, and then just in one, make that line. I couldn't have done that the other way around, or I wouldn't have been able to sort of find it in just the right place. If you
Right.
plan out where you put it, then you can go back with some confidence and make your contour in the right place. But I
Right.
find you have to do it in that order and not the other way around. I think it almost seems like when you're learning to draw, this contour stage seems like what you're supposed to be able to do right away. And it's actually the opposite. I find that this is kind of the very last part of the drawing process that I want to be able to do. And then it sort of looks like it happened really fast and confidently, but it's because I had this this map underneath. So like in an area like this, maybe that shading isn't filled in there. That's fine. I just go back in and fill in the little spot where I was missing. Now here, and refine that. Maybe do it in a lift. It's a complex curve like that, maybe not all in one, maybe in a couple little steps. Instead of making one perfect contour, I'll kind of make it in a couple chunks and then
Right.
take my kneaded eraser and push away the part of the line where I had to make the correction. So again, it sort of looks like I did it just in one, but I really didn't. I sort of planned out where it was going to go and then put the line on top.
So each of these steps you have done from the beginning to now, it's beneficial to do it in that order. And I shouldn't say order, but it helps you now because now, you know, you can see maybe you might have to change a line or something. It's so beneficial to do it the way you started out.
That's right. I created like a map for myself, and I used those light, sketchy lines that are really easy to erase. I can measure and kind of redo them, frankly, as many times as I need to until I really feel like I'm confident and I've got the placement right. And then I can go in and make, and you might not be able to see this, but I can see that little ghost of the line underneath. So
Mm-hmm.
now I'm just kind of tracing my own little line to make that that arm of the bat on the wing. So that's my secret to actually making these contour lines both confident, but then also really accurate, is to do it in stages rather than trying to do it all at once.
Right.
Measure first and then build it up. And I love the way with this picture, like the bat wing is sort of transparent, and then the bones and like the little arm muscle of the bat is darker. I'm going to sharpen my. I'm right-handed, so I am kind of working from right to left. It makes it a little bit easier for me to not sort of smear my drawing.
Right.
You know, work in whatever way is most comfortable for you. But that's kind of also a helpful tip, is not actually jump around. Like once you've done your armature, then you kind of go to like one spot at a time rather than and finish it as you're going across. That little eye. So instead of like locking into that eye early as like an important part of the picture, actually you're like, it's very late. I'm, you know, only now at the very end, sort of finding the detailed spot for that little eye. Sometimes the little details that have names like the eyes, the head, all of they kind of distract us from the larger shapes. So the block-in kind of teaches us how to use just abstract tilts and angles and shapes, abstract shapes, to get it more accurate, instead of kind of locking on to the things that have names that sometimes keep us from really seeing things accurately. So now, as I'm darkening down a little bit the body of the bat, I'm using a little bit of just hatching, where I'm letting the line, instead of veiling it, where it's all blending together, I'm hatching a little bit more, making individual lines.
Going the opposite way of your other lines.
Cross hatching, when you like layer them like that, then you make a point of like maybe cross hatching. You're going to layer your line going across this way, often with the feeling of like they're wrapping around the surface of the form.
Right.
His little feet are so funny. They look like little human feet, actually, kind of like flying behind him. They're really quite cute. And then over here, one more. I'm going to leave that wing right there in the light, just like I left his little nose in the light. So it feels like it's catching the light from the outside. And then the rest of it, I've kind of colored in to make it feel like it's silhouetted against that moon. And then I'm going to have one more little, how much time do I have? I have one more little stage I want to do.
You can keep doing it. I'm encouraging everybody to go to Patricia's website, only because she's not only a skilled, wonderful, amazing drawer, she paints too. And so you've got to look at her paintings. So make sure you go to patriciawatwoodstudios.com. Did I say that right, Patricia?
That's right, patriciawatwoodstudios.com. Thank you so much, Cindy. Yeah, as I said, like I love drawing. It's been always just a foundation for who I became as an artist. But I love to paint and do portraits and figures, but learning to draw has been the key to success for all of those things.
Right. And you have a video besides your book. And
yeah, it's a portrait video with Streamline.
And this all can be found on painttube.tv. So you can see all of that, and plus her website. So this has been so much fun. Like I said, this is something I love to do. I love to draw. I get my charcoals out all the time. And you know what? After this, I'm going to be mindful, Patricia, to go to my studio and do a little charcoal drawing, because stuff like this gets me excited.
Also, like, write it down. Like, if you have an intention, like, write it down. What is your intention to do it? I put everything in my life is on a Post-it note, or else it doesn't happen. Like, write it on a Post-it note. Go do this thing. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing. I think I have a little bit of time.
Okay.
So I want to create this effect of like the bat flying against the moon. I'm going to actually I traced that line, and now I don't have the whole circle, but in a few spots, I'm just going to clarify that circle, make it just a little bit darker. It doesn't have to be, again, like perfectly drawn. It's okay if it's a little detached. So I'm just strengthening that circle slightly. And now I'm going to use this vine charcoal, which is soft. And I'm using it on the side. The vine charcoal and the carbon pencil really are very similar in color. I kind of want to leave that wing so that I can see it. So I'm going to kind of leave it a tiny bit of a glow on the top. So I'm using the vine charcoal on the side. Maybe I'll darken down the outer circle. If I make that even kind of like darker behind, sort of create this effect of kind of glowing moonlight.
Wow, you changed the whole drawing immediately.
Right? And it's okay if like lose your edge a little bit. Some areas that are a little softer, some areas not. And in fact, I kind of want the feeling of the cloud kind of like a little bit wispy. So kind of dragging a little bit of texture across that moon.
Those fine charcoal sticks are fun.
They really are. And you can also, like, if you want to get it even extra dark, you could use like, that's a black pastel. There's a larger pastel stick. The more you kind of layer that up, you can make it like darker and darker and more dramatic. You get the idea. Now it's kind of a little messy and uneven. You could take some time and do it a little more slowly to get it a little more even. I can use my brush again.
Right.
And layer and maybe soften the edge. That kind of like blends and softens it, make it a little more even going across.
And that's sort of a softer brush to do it. It's not a very hard brush.
Actually, it's a bristle.
So
it is.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, this one is a little bit harder. Then if you wanted to try to make that tone more even, just go over it again with and kind of fill in little dark areas. So you can make that as dramatic or, and graphic, or as detailed as you want, depending on how much time you put into that. You're probably going to want to use a little bit of fixative at the very end when you're done with your project, or else the dust will kind of go everywhere.
Right. Everyone, clue into her book. Drawing is so beneficial. You can learn a lot from that. And I'm getting her book. I'm just telling you that right now. It's one that's not on my bookshelf yet. So I'm getting this book because
so now that
I love it.
Made kind of a mess around with the vine charcoal, if I wanted to tighten that up, I could. But instead, I'm going to kind of leave that be, let it be a little soft around the edges. And now just the last little bit is kind of go back with my pencil and clean up just a few spots where I want, and my fingers are getting all dirty. It's kind of important when you're doing this to clean off your fingers a little bit, so that you can be tidy in a few places where you want to.
Well, we have just a minute left, but
that's perfect.
Look at how that glows
kind
now.
Of redefine any little lines that you want it to have a little bit more clarity, to make one thing kind of in front of the other. Or like right here, actually, maybe I want to take my eraser and erase out so that it's kind of sharp and clean against. So I feel like to kind of put a big tone in, you can do it kind of quickly, as long as then you can kind of go back with some control with an eraser or with your pencil, and then redefine and sharpen up just a few areas to kind of create the look of it being sharp and clean. You don't actually have to do it really slowly the whole way. You can actually kind of do it a little bit faster, and then use the eraser and the pencil to clean up your lines.
Right.
All right, I think I'm about done.
Patricia, once again, thank you so much. And I enjoyed our opening talk. It's something that, you know what, I got to go back and listen to, because sometimes we just don't make that time. But that I loved her opening talk. I loved her drawing. Visit her website at patriciawatwoodstudios.com, and you'll see her paintings, her book, her video. You'll see everything on there. I've already been on her website a few times, so I appreciate it. I really do.
This has really been fun hanging out with you. It's been great.
So, well, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And
yeah. And I hope you'll join us on Realism Live. It's going to be a really fun conference.
Oh my gosh, it's yes, you're going to get 20 amazing artists, so including Patricia. So you got to join Realism Live. It's fun, and if you put Baron, if the code Baron, then you get 10% off. So
terrific.
Hope you join us. I enjoyed it. Thanks so much, Patricia. You're the best.
My pleasure. It's been great being here. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye. So I hope you enjoyed that today. And we look forward to finding out where Eric is. He is somewhere, and I'm quite sure this is one memorable trip for him. So I look forward to hearing where he's been. So I hope you enjoyed today. I so enjoyed doing this. It's it's great to learn. I mean, you just make that time for yourself. Fear is paralyzing. Carve out a little niche in your place. Listen to Patricia's talk in the beginning. She's really on it. So I hope you guys had fun today. Thanks. And I'll see you tomorrow with another guest.